All right, guys, today we are working on our African Savannah project. So last time you painted this sunset or sunrise background with our gradient. Today we're gonna add our animal and our landscape for the African Savannah. So the first thing you're going to do is draw the ground for your Savannah. We're gonna be doing pencil first for everything, and then we're gonna be filling everything in with black paint. So at the bottom of my paper, and the yellow is the bottom. So at the bottom of my paper, and you could choose if you want yellow to be the bottom or if you want pink to be the bottom. You're just gonna draw kind of like a wavy sort of line to show the ground of the Savannah. Then you're gonna choose which animal you want to put in your Savannah. So for mine, I'm gonna choose a lion. So I have these sheets for you of the different Savannah animals. And on each paper, there's a few different examples of photographs of that animal. So we're only doing a silhouette of all of our details. So that means any details you see on top, like the eyes or the ears, those aren't actually gonna be included in our silhouette. So you're really only looking at the outline of your animal and deciding which outline you like best. So I think I'm gonna do this one that's kind of walking. So I'm gonna cut around that one. Not like exactly around, just like a little bit around like this so that I can sort of see where to put it on my paper. Maybe I'll cut a little bit off the bottom so I can see where to put his feet. And you don't have to cut off all the white paper. You just want to kind of free it from this big paper. And then you're gonna get a piece of this graphite paper. This is really cool because it's got graphite on one side, so it allows us to trace something without taking it to the window or a light source. So you're gonna decide where you want your animal to go. I think I'm gonna put mine like maybe right there. And then you're gonna put the graphite paper under your animal. So you want the shiny side or the darker side to be facing down, and then your animal goes on top of that. So I'm gonna put it about like that. And then you're gonna hold it in place while you trace around the outside of your animal. So for this, it works best if you have a sharpened pencil. And then you're just going to go around the edge of your animal, and you're pressing down. You don't have to press down super hard, but press down enough to kind of get that graphite to press down onto your paper. And you're gonna trace all around the edge of your animal. Anything that's inside your animal, so like this line is on the inside, it's not on the outside, so I don't have to trace that. Only things that are on the very, very outside. Okay, so then once you're done, you lift it up and you have a outlined silhouette of your animal. So my animal kind of overlaps my ground more than I want it to, and I want to show his feet a little bit more. So I'm going to change this back here just a little bit so that I can show where he's standing a little bit more. All right, there we go. So then we're gonna be filling this in with black, so that's a silhouette. So I'm not gonna draw any eyes or details on top. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So then somewhere in your paper, we're also gonna add a tree. So we looked at some pictures of the umbrella acai trees that grow in the African Savannah. So you can pick where you want to draw your tree somewhere in your picture. So for that drawing, remember they kind of like branch out. So I'm gonna start with a trunk and then kind of make my branches go out to the sides. And remember, this is a tree, so it doesn't have to be really exact or anything. We just want it to kind of branch outwards like this. So I'm kind of making these tapered branches that sort of go to the sides instead of straight up and down. And we're only gonna do the branches on this because we're gonna add our leaves with the paint. So you don't have to worry about drawing all of that. And on the ends of my branches, I'm gonna add one more branch to make these all into a letter Y, and that makes it look more realistic. So I think that's good for my tree. And then if you want anything else on your ground, like if you want some little like rocks kind of growing, you could do that, or you could leave that off. So if tracing with the paintbrush is kind of hard for you, you could also trace your outside with a Sharpie first. So we wouldn't want to fill in the whole animal with a Sharpie, but maybe making that outside edge would be kind of helpful with a marker instead. And then after you're done tracing on the outside, then you can go back and fill in with your paintbrush. So you do have to still kind of be a little bit careful that you don't get it outside the Sharpie line, but that would kind of help you a little bit if the tracing with a paintbrush is too hard. Okay, so you probably saw this happen right here where I dropped some paint next to my tree, and I did not mean for that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is turn this into a branch that connects to my tree. And then when I fill in my silhouette, you won't even be able to tell that I made a mistake. So if you accidentally do that, we can kind of work with it and just change something a little bit on your painting. So it's not a big deal. All right, so the last thing you're gonna do is add the leaves in your tree. So for this, you don't really need to draw it first unless you really want to, but there's an easy way you can do it with just your paintbrush and the ink. So in the African savanna, the umbrella trees have leaves that are like kind of close together and they kind of make an umbrella shape. So we're gonna focus on the tops of our branches first, and we're just gonna make kind of little like squiggly dot shapes that kind of connect to each other and go out to the sides. So our trees around here, we have a lot of leaves like throughout the whole entire tree. So I'm not really focusing on that. I'm trying to focus just on the tops, and I'm leaving some little spaces in between so that it still looks like that leaf texture instead of just a solid black shape. So then I can go to my next branches and kind of do the same thing. Just little kind of like dot squiggle shapes. And I'm kind of focusing vertically or horizontally or side to side. And I'm kind of connecting all of these leaf patches together so they look like they're part of the same tree. So when you're doing this, it's important that you don't just do like dots like this and leave them floating like that, because that doesn't look like leaves in a tree. You have to make sure they're connected to each other. So if you do dots first, you could do that and then connect them with some spaces in between, but we don't want to just like do a few dots on our tree and leave it like that.